and he went by this shelf where I had this like 6, 7 year old amp chassis without a head shell, just a chassis with
The chassis, yeah.
dust on it sitting there. And he saw this
Saw the switch, JTM,
JCM. And he was like, what is this? I was like, yeah, that's some prototype. It's some JCM 800 dish amp on 80 watt power amp. And I did this like 7 years ago. And he was like, oh, 800s. Those were my amps in the 80s. Can I try that?
Hey there, I'm Dan, the self-proclaimed Lonely Rocker. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am super excited to have amongst some of my most favorite people that I've met in this industry that I generally call friends. And not that we're influenced one way or the other. Now, we are here at 42 Gear Street 7 in wonderful Germany. 42 Gear Street 7. We have to mention Summer Cable. That's connecting everything. They've been wonderful. To me personally, my studio at home is well stocked with Summer Cable cables, and we wouldn't be hearing nothing if it wasn't for them. He might figure out a way. Maybe you would. I don't know.
And what did you find out when unboxing your Lulis? It comes with a Summer speaker cable.
That's right. That's indeed. So we love our Summer cables. So if you need some cables, consider them. They're the nicest people I've ever met. Second to these two fine folks. We've got Mario at Tube Workshop. We're going to be discussing this Lulis amp, and the namesake himself, Uwe, is here from Accept.
Hello, people.
And as we said, we accept nothing less than world domination. And it starts here today with the Tube Workshop Lulis amplifier. Okay, so
here we go.
I now have one of these. We got connected last year, and we've become good friends, and born out of a lot of respect for great artistry, knowledge, production, and wizardry in creating amplifiers. And I want to talk about this wonderful amplifier today. I'll just start it off, and I'm going to let you guys go. But, I mean, your classic sound was an OD1 into a JCM 800.
Yeah, based in the 80s, really old stuff, you know.
Right.
And to help the JCM, you have to...
Right back to your Gravedigger days, and then...
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to help him with the OD, of course.
Okay, so we're going to get into that history. So let's start off. I want to ask you, fine gentlemen, how did this project start?
Our ways crossed first at Guitar Summit, like what was it, 2022, I think?
It was 3 years ago, yeah.
And we was briefly talking about, hey...
he was running after me. Hey, Uwe. So.
No, actually...
Yeah. Hey, you Uwe, hey? Come on, I have an idea. So.
I won't comment that. So we came together at Guitar Summit, and so we stayed in contact. And sometime later, then Uwe came to my workshop for discussing options or his signature amp, because he already had in his mind how this could be, and we were having some ideas and brainstorming and everything. And then he was already on his way out of my workshop, right? And he went by this shelf where I had this like 6, 7 year old amp chassis without a head shell, just a chassis with dust on it sitting there. And he saw this...
Saw the switch, JCM.
And he was like, what is this? I was like, yeah, that's some prototype. It's some JCM 800 dish amp on 80 watt power amp. And I did this like 7 years ago. And he was like, oh, 800s. Those were my amps in the 80s. Can I try that? And I was like, I don't know if it even works. Still works. So we
it didn't work.
But we made it work, and he played it, and you can tell by yourself what you said after playing it.
Yeah, it was the old feeling. It was the old Marshall JCM 800 feeling, and it was so, well, okay, put this together, take it to my studio, and I want to try something out, you know. And then we did. I took it to my studio, I put my little orange OD1 in front of it. That's my sound. That's it.
What does the OD1 do? Like, I know it's a hard thing to describe the tone, but it's that little extra, like, is it...
Yes, this is a little extra over the push, you know. I mean, you have this mid-range feeling, what I love, you know. My sound is based on a really mid-range and deeper mid-range. And this the crunch, this can you describe it? It's an overdrive, you know, and it's that little thing what you need when you to feeling well. You know what I mean?
Does it compresses it a little bit more, maybe a little bit more controlled, or it's like because I know some amps that add some diode clipping into the circuit, but this is not quite that. I know it's hard to articulate.
I wouldn't say compressed. It cuts out the deep, basically,
right.
You know, and adds some mids and overdrives us in a really nice way. This is my that was my sound, you know.
I mean, from my perspective as an amp builder, the OD1, at least like you said it, with like volume max and then the overdrive knob on the first half, it doesn't generate overdrive on its own or distortion, but it pushes the amp into more overdrive.
Right.
And due to the EQ curve of the pedal with cutting off some treble, cutting off some low end, it acts like kind of a glue that it just glues everything together.
Everything,
So
Which is kind of compression, no? In a mixing sense.
Yeah. Technically,
yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a compression. I don't know, but
we're containing a little better, gluing it together. So
but I don't have the feeling that a compressor is working.
No,
it's an open sound, you know.
Yeah.
So in terms of how it feels and what it does, yes. And for me, that was also like a really enlightening moment, because we talked before that. So what is the sound we're going after? And we also listened to my old Gravedigger records and listened to the song "The Truth" on the album.
Because the guitar was, you know, the riff was by itself alone, and that's the sound what I want out of the amp. I know there was a full production on an SSL, you know, 2 Marshalls, you know, and it was mastered. And we should go in that direction, you know, and we did it.
Yeah, but my prototype didn't do that sound on its own.
So now we get into the collaboration.
Yeah.
So let's go there.
So the magic moment for me was then when Uwe was back again in my workshop and brought his old OD1, and we put that in front of the prototype and switched it on, and I was like, that's the sound. That's
the sound from the album.
Pretty close to what we hear on the album. Of course, from then it was a long way from, a
lot of sweat on his.
We're on the right track to that's the finished product.
Right.
But that was for me kind of an enlightening moment to hear that combination. And I was like, as an amp builder, for your sound, that combination is like crucial.
Yes. Now, as someone who's now an owner of this amplifier, and one thing from a user perspective, understanding, and for viewers that are watching this and are looking at it, we're saying, it's a JCM 800, or based on the concept of an 800 with a lot more. In terms of a studio amp, I mean, having the JTM mode and the JCM mode, I don't want people to think in terms of channels, because it's not really. It really changes the characteristic of the amp. It's like giving you 2 amps in one. There's obviously volume differences between the two, so it's not something you're going on stage and switch between 2 back and forth. But in terms of a recording amplifier, studio amplifier, it just gives you such a range. I know, like the cleans out of the JTM mode are just absolutely beautiful, crystal clean, articulate, which is really, really nice. So it's I think an important distinction with this amplifier, that it's almost like it really is 2 amps in one, for sure.
Yeah.
So
and more than two amps, because I didn't mention that a minute ago. For that crucial thing, having that overdrive combined with the 800 sound, this is the reason why we built the overdrive into the amp.
right.
It's in the JCM mode now with the overdrive. This is kind of my setup here, all on 3 o'clock, and then what we put the focus on was the mid-range. I mean, I go down with the mid now. You can go in the scoop. I can't do the Gary Moore. fantastic solo sound. I mean, this is.
I was going to ask, so you can leverage, you as a producer yourself, with recording this amp, could leverage that versatility for solos.
This baby is running all the time in my studio.
Yeah. First thing that you can remember, okay, we've established we've got the platform, we have the distinct modes, we have the built-in OD1. Let's talk about the areas now that okay, this is good, but where do we go from here?
It should be work on live too, on the live situation. You know, first of all, I don't want any cables on my track from my board to my amp, because our stages are long, and cable intro is running. What's not working sometimes? The cable. So inside, of course, the overdrive. It's important. You can switch it with the foot switch here, and we have a built-in AB box. That means we have an output here in the amp on the back. You can go in the next amp and switch with the foot switch from amp A to amp B.
That's brilliant.
Clean sounds. You have another amp, maybe whatever, modeling amp or real amp, next another cabinet. And okay, then my clean sound. Oh, this is my solo sound with this amp with a delay in, something like this, So you can just A, B, switch from amp to amp without any cables. So that's was the next idea. What brought him sweat on the.
Oh, so I was going to say, okay, so he says he wants a built-in 80 box, and you are what? Thinking what?
Actually, we had a lot of discussions about that.
He hang up first.
Because in the beginning I was like, well, there are a lot of great AB switches out there. You can just put it in front of the amp. Do we really need to have it in the amp? But as Uwe plays hundreds of live shows, he was like, he brought in that touring perspective where he said, yes, I know there are AB boxes out there, but as he just told, I don't want to have 5 cables in front of my amp, because like 10 minutes before the show starts, Rody rolls over the cable with a flight case.
Festival changeover has to go quick, and people are mistaken something.
And he said, like, every cable I can avoid on stage, I will avoid, because it's one error source less. I want it in the amp.
Right. So that AB box, so basically it's an extension of the input jack. That like you just use a regular patch cable, or do you have to use something different?
No, mine, it's just a phone's jack output, like your normal 6.3 millimeters, but there's a buffer in between, so there's an isolation transformer in between, high impedance, so that you cannot run into having the problems getting ground
with hum and stuff like this. Yeah.
But sometimes if you connect 2 amps, then you get a ground loop, and that is why the amp B out is isolated.
Okay, but I could just take a regular patch cord, running it into the next amp.
Yes.
And that's actually something I haven't tried yet with mine.
Or if you don't have an amp, you can run a tuner. You can use the amp here. If I press this, nothing's coming up. And the signal goes to the tuner. Stage, big tuner, and you can tune. Okay, done. And
or if you have connected nothing like we have here, it's just a mute button.
It's just a mute button to mute the amp.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
So it made sense after a while.
Did
it come to fruition after you did it, or did you start to see the full picture before you?
I started to see the full picture, but we had discussions about that.
Yeah. His argument was, nobody needs that. And then we had last summit. We presented the amp, and I showed everybody, hey, there's an AB. Everybody was like, that's great. Why is nothing else? No one else is coming up with this idea before. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Listen, how are they going to know that they need it if they don't know it exists, right?
Because I need
that's it. That's a good point.
Okay, so you guys hashed it out, and we now have built-in AB. What's the next thing that a good discussion point?
EQ.
Okay.
EQ, yeah.
I know you like your mids.
And that took a long time to develop that EQ section here, especially the mid range, because it has to be versatile. I mean, if I want to have scoop sounds, put down the mid. And as I played before, if I want to play some, Gary Moore stuff or my sound, crank in the mid. And you can go further. I mean, this works very well.
You want to demonstrate some of the mids here?
You turn the mid knob.
like lifting the cover right off. I never understood why people live with scooped has certainly its functionality, but I always find pushing those mids, especially in recording too.
Yeah, but we are another generation. The young guitar players, they like it scooped. If you hear all the modern recordings, there are no mids in the guitar sound.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit, maybe in as close to layman terms as the general view would understand, that what's happening with this mid range here? Is it a frequency range? It's it's a bit of everything.
Yeah, it's a frequency range, and it's also how bass, middle, and treble interact, where the crossover frequencies. So it's quite different to the standard Marshall tone stack that you have in your 800s, but it was quite. So we talked on eye level, because I'm also like guitar player. It was no discussions like I want the amp to sound more green or something. I mean, he's a producer, I'm a musician. I also do recording, so we could really talk on a bass. Hey Mario, I checked the masters of that Gravedigger album, and we did something there in the 1 kilohertz area, and then I tried to recreate something like that in the EQ, and so we tweaked forward and back until we said, yeah, okay, that's it. But it was a lot of fine tuning, because it's quite different to the standard Marshall EQ section.
But talking of colors, we always said we need the golden mids.
Yeah.
The gold, make golden mids great again. You know what I mean?
He went there. He went there. Edit. No.
No, it was about the golden mids, and also about clarity at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know the records from Gravedigger and Accept. It's a very precise sound, and an old 800 is can be a quite fussy thing when you crank it. Yeah. So it was about the mid range, about getting in more clarity.
Yeah.
So
and I will say, as someone who uses the amp, and appreciating the classic 800 sound, but an 800 is not the most versatile amp in the world on its own. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
and
basically, it's all about the character of the amp, and the rest on the was in the edit was shit.
Yeah.
To bring it on a point. I mean, you cannot use the mid or the highs and stuff. Keep it out and put an overdrive in front, and then it starts to sound good.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, I always wondered, I don't know if this is a silly question, but do you find usable range, the full spectrum that these dials have to offer? Because people are always afraid, like, crank it all the way up, it's going to sound like shit. I can't do that. Like, you'll find yourself, depending, in the studio, you'll go anywhere. Do you find?
No, the goal is, that's what's our philosophy on this one. If you have all in the middle on 12 o'clock, the amp has to sound good. That's all.
Right.
And then you can fine tune here.
Right.
Yeah. If you start up with, mid range here, and the amp doesn't sound good, and you have to crank it until it sounds good.
Right.
It's not the right amp for you.
Right. So we have other switches on here that we should talk about, right?
Yeah.
So we have the bright switch. Where do you find yourself using this?
Clean sounds.
Mainly for cleans?
Clean.
You'll keep this off most of the time?
Sometimes when I play, for example, the solo on the JTM mode, and I put this in to make it more clear, then you have to crank the gain a little bit. This is my setup, gain full pull and overdrive here, and you have fantastic, maybe the mids and low, and you have fantastic solo sound.
So I'll pop it in and out while you just...
in.
So it's on? So that's on?
It's on, yeah, it's all on, yeah.
So I'll go off and on.
Fantastic solo sound. Put a little delay on that and it's done.
Perfect.
And you don't have to EQ the thing on the board, maybe a little bit to
It'll cut
through the mix, and
just like
that's
that.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Any hurdles that you faced along the way that you were, maybe any concerns?
I wouldn't really call hurdles, but like figuring out what will be the best feature set for the final product. And sometimes it's then about details, like one detail that you don't see now, the foot switch connectors on the back. Mm-hmm. Those are like 3 standard 6.3 millimeter phones jacks. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I can just put in like a 5-pin whatever connector. and Uwe was again like touring view. Okay, but if that cable breaks,
You have a problem.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
I don't get it on tour. Or if I had like a MIDI setup with the MIDI switches that have all the control, phones, jacks. If I want to connect that, I need a special adapter. But if you will have like normal phones jacks on the back, every normal switching function of any device can control that. And it's easy to integrate that in a MIDI setup.
It's all about touring and concert, and you're far away from a shop, playing in the middle of South America somewhere.
Yeah.
And this breaks, five-point connector breaks. Good luck.
Good luck with that.
And yeah, that's exactly the reason for it.
Let's listen to some clean sounds.
Yeah. One of the possibilities, and you can, of course, go back with the gain. Sorry. Push this a little bit. You have a really clean sound. Switch to another pickup. Perfect clean sound. Then we found out, that means Henning found out, if you put in the overdrive, drag it a little bit. Cue the guitar.
Cue the guitar.
Sorry for that, guys. You can play around now with gain, no bright, bottom, mids, when you can scoop the thing a little bit, and then go like this. Without turning the pot here.
Very reactive.
Yeah.
So having the two master,
Very dynamic. This amp.
how would you use the two masters? You just need a little boost for a solo, or
Yeah, if you're playing live with it, when you can switch here, you have a master B, and you switch to master B, and for solo, make it louder here a little bit, a little bit more, that it cut through the whole, noise, what's coming up from the other guys.
now you've had a few guitar players get their hands on this thing now,
Yeah.
and any interesting feedback or things that surprised you maybe?
What is quite common to get as a feedback is like, I didn't know how many different shades of sounds from cleanish, crunchy to really full-blown heavy sounds I can get out of an amp that is basically a single channel amp.
Yeah.
Because often single channel amps are like a one-trick pony,
Yeah.
but I think this one's not.
That's exactly what I felt when I first heard that first chord when I heard it last year.
Yeah.
But once I finally got it home and had a chance to spend time with it and realize how versatile this amp is. Listen, we're not going to get into the whole modeler debate and that. I mean, you get a little box that gives you 300 amplifiers, but having an amplifier, a true amplifier with that kind of versatility, especially in a studio setting, is just going to give you such a range of options. And yeah, you can get that classic 800 sound with it, but you get really, really so much more.
I'd like to pull a comment from a video we did this morning with the other John Brown. Mm-hmm. We also had this amp, and his comment was, and I really loved that, this amp sounds happy even with low gain.
Yeah, this amp is alive.
Yeah.
And it's loud. I've cranked this thing up in my studio. It's loud.
Dude, put a 412 on that,
I do. That's what I do at home.
A question: did you do any recordings with that? With 2 tracks, 4 tracks, 5?
Yes,
tracks?
that's what I do.
And so what do you think about?
No,
that?
I mean the main track that I did for that was all through the angle cabinet, which is what I have. Double tracked it.
It's perfect in the studio, right? Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I did.
I mean, you're a studio guy. I'm a studio guy. I mean,
I did the harmonized leads.
Yeah.
And so I adjusted each one, so each one was gained a little bit differently, a little more different articulation.
So can you show us how you set it? Because you're holding that guitar.
Well, I'm actually not even
but you're not
plugged
playing.
in. I mean, I wish I'd remembered my settings, but the way I use it, and the way my studio is set up, which is kind of a modern setup, is that I'll track everything through. I have a Fractal FM9 Turbo, which is my main brain, and then I'll record. Whether I'm writing, and I've set up my templates, so when I'm recording, I'm already in the mix project. Okay, so I'm putting it in, I'm working it out, arrange, and I'm playing the guitar, but simultaneously I'm recording the DI. And then once I've set everything, or have to re-record to get it perfect, now I can do a reamp out of the Fractal with the hum buster, so it's nice and clean. The amp is in the room. I've got the cabinet about 30 feet away. Thanks to Summer Cable, they provided me these really long cables, the speaker cable and the microphone cables, and I'm running 2 mics, Sennheiser E906 and the 421 compact. I like to get a ribbon. I haven't tried a ribbon with that yet. I actually don't have one. And then I can sit there, and I don't even recall what the settings were, because I sort of do it. I take a picture of it if I'm using it in a video. But I'm doing
that too.
I just sit. But I just sit there, and I've kind of got the preamp set to rolled off at 90, and then the 421 is a little bit further out, and I have the E906 more on the edge of the cone where it meets the dust cap. So I sort of dial in sort of the top end through the 906, and then I get sort of the
which is normal
through the other one.
Yeah.
And then I just turn the dials until there it is, and I'm listening to it in context. And so sometimes I don't even know until afterwards what it is. I have to take a picture of it, so when I shoot the video to demonstrate what it is, I have to make sure that I have the settings so I haven't really found something that said is like, I don't have a sound like you have a sound.
Well, last time it was a funny story. I had a DI track running, and I knew the chorus was coming up, I need more gain. During the whole running through, I was working with the gain from the amp. Okay, the chorus coming up a little bit more, and verse back during the recording. It works perfect.
Isn't that such an amazing way to work?
Yeah.
Though? I mean,
I have the amp right here. It's just my workstation, or the board is here, and then I have the amp. I just can grab it without looking.
Yeah.
And then turn.
I think. Listen, that's why I asked you about the range of the dials, because optically, when we see this, like, something's wrong. We can't do that. But I don't look. I'll just I'll look away. I listen to it, right? So I have to hear it, and if it just fits, and working in context. I mean, that's a lesson. As someone who reviews amplifiers, this is something that I find a bit of a challenge, because we get into in the comments and even between YouTubers on how to present an amplifier in a review. Because then the question is, what does an amp sound like? There's some YouTubers have a philosophy, well, I'm just going to put a 57 in the center of a V30, and I'm going to not process the signal, and you're going to hear what the amp sounds like. That's not what the amp sounds like. Take off the cabinet, give a line out. That's what the amp sounds like, right?
Yeah.
But, if you're going to put 2 microphones, well, you're already filtering the sound. You're going to move it 1 millimeter this way, you're already going to change the sound. So I've gone away from that, is that the amp is part of the chain. It's a tool.
Yeah.
If I always want to give it what's best for the track, because I find sometimes when I'm working in context, I go, it's good.
Yeah.
But then people want to hear it in isolation. And here in isolation, it doesn't sound as good, but it wasn't never meant to be heard. Right. And I've stopped fighting that, because people can be finicky in the comments about that, but I would stress that this is a tool just like anything else that we're going to use in the studio. And I would not be doing this amp justice if I was just to put all the amps at noon, put a 57 in the middle, and say this is what the amp sounds like, because that's not what the amp sounds like.
No, absolutely not.
So
I mean, even I have an ISO box in my studio, and these the middle, it's a 421. I can move it with a remote control, and even with this little 5 centimeters from the cone to the outside, you can have 100 of different sounds. You know what I mean? So, and then it's a question of what should I use? What should I take? Because this is great. This is great. This is great. Stand there. And
And
it's
I've
a question
seen-
of decision,
yes.
you know what I mean?
And I've seen your setup. You've sent pictures. You're using more microphones. Like
Yeah.
You've really got a whole range of that.
Yeah.
And then, do you always use them all, or sometimes just two?
No, I
work?
just
Yeah.
flip whatever I need on the 57, or then I can just on the board click. No, this is good. And this is good. A combination of this is good. This is better. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so I've subscribed to that. This is the way it needs to be done, and I think it's the best way to showcase an amplifier because, someone made a decision. Okay, let's just use a 57 in the center position, and this is what the amp sounds like. And I'm like, well, my amp never sounds that way. There's never a scenario will I use it that way, right?
I mean, in the end of the day, the philosophy is grab your guitar, play it through the amp. You have to feel good when you play your stuff. You know what I mean? If don't, wrong amp.
Any guitar player at some point, okay, your modelers, whatever. But I really hope that I really appreciate what you do. It's a challenging industry now. That there's more options,
It is. Yeah.
It is.
and
Thank God.
But people like me and obviously people like you, fight the good fight because we need tube amps here because I always say it's the difference between playing a video game or sliding behind the wheel of a fine automobile.
Right.
You can get a thrill from both, but there's nothing like riding the real.
Hey, drive your electric car, drive a V8.
And I mean, if there are no new tube amps, what will you model tomorrow?
That's right. One day modelers will be modeling.
So
modelers.
damn right.
We need that reference. Any last words?
Yeah, go to hell.
Go to hell. Any last words about the amp?
Famous last words. Go to hell.
Oh, we should mention we don't have the remote here, but you've got the LED lights in here.
Oh yeah.
I keep mine on the pulsing red. That's where,
really?
That's where I sit. Yes.
You're kind of the lava lamp guy.
There you go.
Yeah,
Red light
lava
district kind of thing. Right?
Is there a lava lamp setup for this?
I think you can make it pulse or whatever.
Yeah, mine just is like the breathing red. That's where I like it.
You guys should see this. This is so great.
I will put some shots in here as soon as I find the remote. Anyways, I want to thank both of you. I want to thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
I appreciate your friendship and your artistry and your craftsmanship. And
You're welcome.
I certainly hope that you did enjoy this. If you have any thoughts, any questions at all, love to hear from you. Put that in the comments. I want to thank everyone here at 42 Gear Street 7. We got a lot of great vendors who support this event, a lot of amazing YouTubers. And 42 Gear Street 7 is the hashtag if you want to follow along on all the great content that's being created here at this event. And that will live on throughout the year. I made my last 42 Gear Street 6 video the day I was leaving to come for this event. So if you love gear, there's a lot of it out there. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. And I think I need a shower. But anyways, hopefully I'll catch you in the next video.
And see you on tour.
I need a shower?
No, I said I do.
Ah.
I have this thing now where I make a joke. I forgot to rehearse it. I said I think I need a shower. I don't know why it was stupid.